We'll come out of recess now. Calling the meeting back to order. Okay. Okay, we're gonna move to item number 8. The appointment to the various positions. Okay, we're going to appoint a mayor pro tem. We're going to appoint someone on the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and we're going to appoint a delegate for the MPO. We're also going to appoint someone over the Central Ina Regional Council and a delegate. All right, so any nominations?
I'll make a motion to make Robert Connor mayor pro tem.
I'll second.
Okay, so the motion's been made and the second has been made. All in favor?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor, you gotta ask if there's any other nominations first.
Okay, I'm sorry, is there any other nominations? Okay, well, all in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Robin, Commissioner Robin Connors, you're the mayor pro tem. And we chose the MPO. Okay, so let's, anybody want to make a nomination for the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization? Who's going to be, anybody want to nominate someone for that?
Nobody wants to know.
I can't.
I would.
Nomination.
I could do the MPO. Can I nominate myself for MPO?
I think the last time it was Mayor Black, and the delegate was.
The alternate was Commissioner Lott.
Yeah.
Nominate Robin. I think she wants to do
Agreed.
it. I make a motion to nominate Robin.
Yeah, you're entitled to say that you would like to, like Mayor Black also be nominated, and somebody can make that motion.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to be the MPO delegate. So, you know, and Robin, you're up for it as well. So.
Okay. You want to be the MPO delegate?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. Well, we're going to make a motion for.
I make such a motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Then, all in favor? All right. And for the delegate, MPO delegate.
Alternate.
That was you.
That was you.
And the alternate, I'm sorry.
What you want to be the,
You want to be the alternate?
you want to be the alternate?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, agrees to be the alternate of the MPO.
And I'll second it.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, we got a little confusion here. Who was the delegate to the MPO?
I'm the delegate.
You're delegate? Well, I'll make, well, this.
Then I'll be the alternate.
Now we gotta do an alternate then.
Then I'll be the alternate.
Yes.
Okay, Bob will be the
Just switch
alternate.
it around.
MPO alternate.
We'll get it right here in a minute. It's a little bit off.
Learning curve here.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor, if somebody wants to make a motion to nominate Commissioner Connor as the alternate of the
I'll
MPO.
make the motion.
And I'll second it.
Ms. Connor, the alternate of the MPO.
And I'll second motion.
All right. All in favor?
Passed.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna move to item number 9.
You got to get the alternate one too, don't you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm missing the central line. So anybody want to nominate someone for the Central Iowa Regional Council delegate?
I can volunteer for that one.
Okay. Commissioner Hill? Volunteer,
I
anybody?
make a motion that we nominate Mr. Hill.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the Board of Commissioner Rules and Procedures by our attorney, Nick Tosca.
Do we need an alternate for Central
We're gonna need a,
Oh, we're gonna need an alternate, okay. Sorry, I'm moving fast on that one. Okay, is there a nomination for the alternate? With an alternate to the Central Iowa Regional Council District?
Not with all.
Sorry?
I'll volunteer for what's my motion.
Okay,
I make a motion to make Doug the alternate.
I second.
okay, all in favor? All right, so we have all three. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, we have the MPL delegate, and we have the Central Iowa delegate and alternate. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 9, Board of Commissioner Rules and Procedures. That's going to be presented by Attorney Nick Tosca.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know there's nothing more exciting and riveting than some rules of procedure, but I think it's a very good thing to start the process of the new elected officials and this board to have a good set of rules of procedure in place. It's going to guide your actions here when you meet, and I think it's written in accordance with the law and the UNC school government suggested rules of procedure. This is what I base it off of. So you're in line with what other city councils and boards of commissioners are doing. So I will go very quickly through it, and feel free to ask me any questions that you have as we go. The rules of procedure for any bodies, bodies that are elected, bodies that are appointed, they're all based off of what's called Robert's Rules of Order. And this goes back to, in England in old time, they developed a way of meetings to be facilitated in an orderly fashion with decorum. And so the Robert's Rules of Orders is kind of like the starting point, and then, there's the suggested rules of procedure that's overlaid on top of that and form kind of a model or a template. That's kind of what I used in drafting these all for you all's consideration. So that's the starting point. We did, when we were going through this process, find out that there is in the code of ordinances for Ranlo, there was rules of procedure. And I'm using air quotes because they were not very comprehensive and they were very selective, and it's very uncommon to have your rules of procedure in your code of ordinances, it's an ordinance, a law. These are more meant to be a policy of the board. And so what I've done is develop the rules of procedure as a policy for you all to adopt. And in order to do that so that they don't conflict with what is in the code of ordinances, I've drafted an ordinance to repeal or delete those provisions of the code of ordinances. So that's the framework overall. And before I start going through it, are there any questions about that at all? Okay.
I'm not sure I've seen the draft. Where's the draft?
Yeah, it's in the packet. And I can go through it and you can ask questions as you go, but do they have the draft of the ordinance too? Or it's just okay, yeah, the ordinance that I sent via email, that we can adopt at a later date. That doesn't have to be this juncture, so we can adopt, you can choose to adopt it, or you can wait and do that at a future. So if you want to pull up the rules of procedure, like I said, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but if you have questions as I go, let me know. So part one of it is just explaining the applicability of the rules and that they apply to this board, and what a majority is, kind of defining the terms. Quorum. In order for this board to act, you have to have a quorum after every meeting. That's open meetings law. That quorum is always going to be 4 members because it's majority of the whole board plus the mayor, which 3 would be exactly half. So you're going to have 4 every time. It can be any combination of the mayor and 3 or just 4 board members with the mayor pro tem acting in the mayor's place. So just know that you have to have quorum all your meetings. Remote participation, so this is an area of North Carolina that's changed recently. A jurisdiction was recently sued about this, so there is recent case law about this that I incorporated in here to protect you all, which is that the rule is essentially you can participate via remote participation. You call in or I guess a Zoom or something like that. We can talk about that. But it's only participation, it's only for the purpose of listening. For the purpose of determining quorum and for voting, those things have to be done in person only. And so that's the safest course of action, and so that's how I drafted it. The closed sessions there's not really any major changes to that. It just explains that you know the rule that I'm always hammering on about stating what purpose you're going in closed session for, and there's a list in the statute that's referenced in the rules, and so those are the things that we can go into closed session regarding. And it also just mentions that you all are welcome to invite whoever you want in the closed session, but they need to be invited into the closed session. Rule 6 is about the meeting minutes, and our great clerk is going to make sure that you have full and accurate minutes, and that explains what that is. Part 4 is the organization of the board, and that includes the organizational meeting, the oath of office, which we just witnessed, the selection of the mayor pro tem, which we did as well tonight. So that just covers that. The types of meetings, so under North Carolina law, you have 2 types of meetings. You have a regular meeting and a special meeting. And so regular meetings have the regular notice provisions to alert the public to that. Special meetings and emergency meetings are called. You have to meet outside of your regular meeting schedule. And so the provisions related to those meetings is in there. Special and regular and emergency meetings. Okay, so then the agenda, as you saw at the beginning of every meeting, there needs to be a motion to adopt the agenda and ask if there's any changes to that. So that's the process laid out in that rule about how you do it. If you have additional things you want to add to the agenda, it's always best to do that ahead of the meeting and not wait till the meeting, but the process for doing that is laid out in there, in that rule. The order of business, this is a change from the code of ordinances because it was, I'm not sure what the order of business was that was at that time in which it was adopted, but this is matching up with how our meetings are currently held. And so the order of business is laid out there in Rule 13. So I'm moving to Part 7 now. Any questions before I move to Part 7? Okay. That just talks about the duties of the mayor. That is in there. What the presiding officer does, including ruling on parliamentary procedure, determining whether the board, is staying within the rules and not within the rules. The mayor pro tem is Rule 15, and that's essentially you perform the functions of the mayor in the mayor's absence. Okay, so this is the important rule. I mean, they're all important, but this is the one that I really wanted to make sure I talked with you all about. Part 8 is motions and voting. So everything you do as it relates to actions has to be done by a motion, a second, and a vote. And I know you all know that. But it's just important to make sure you are continuously thinking about that. And there are some rules there, again, this comes from the school of government, about debate in terms of how, the order of things. So I would review that rule carefully, just so that you are kind of familiar with how to engage in the debate as it relates to, maker of the motion speaking first, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that I think a lot of people get confused about, so I want to explain it, the duty to vote. Under North Carolina law, you board members have a duty to vote. A lot of people think that they can abstain. You cannot abstain. You have to either vote, and if you don't vote, or if you are excused, it counts as an affirmative vote. So, and of course, I'm speaking of everybody except for the mayor, because the mayor doesn't vote, except for in case of a tie. Then a lot of people also get this a little bit confused, which is it being excused. A lot of people think that when they have a conflict of interest, they can recuse themselves. That is not the case. You have to be excused by the board. So if you have a conflict of interest and you state what that conflict of interest is, then you need to, and that's also provided in the rules of what a conflict of interest is, you need to be excused by the board. And the procedure for that excusal is laid out in the rule as well. So Rule 21 is written by, voting by written ballot. That's not really something that I think this board does a lot of, but if, in case there is a need to vote by written ballot, that is the rule that would be applicable. The types of procedural motions there, I would also encourage you to look at those in terms of what all you can make those kinds of motions for, especially things related to postponing, ending debate, deferring consideration. One thing I wanted to highlight as it relates to amend, because I've seen a lot of boards do this, and for the new members who I've not met, just so you know, I'm the town attorney for other towns as well, and I sit on other boards, so I've seen kind of how these meetings have gone, and so I've tried to incorporate some things in here to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. One of the things that is a common mistake that I see is that somebody thinks that they can amend a motion on their own. You've heard friendly amendments. That doesn't exist, okay? If you want to amend somebody's motion, even if the only person wants to amend their motion, there needs to be a vote to amend the motion. And that has occurred. So just constantly be thinking to yourself, we have to have a motion and a second to do anything, including amending the motion. And the rule about germaneness and it being relevant is all in the rule there. So again, I would just encourage you to strongly consider reviewing that. The next thing is motion to reconsider. A lot of people want to go back on the vote. If you think you need to ever do that, which hopefully that's rare, because it's supposed to be rare that you ever go back and reconsider a vote, look at the rule on that motion 8 is to reconsider, because there has to be certain qualifications. The prevailing side has to be the one to allow the motion to reconsider. Part 9 is just as it relates to ordinances and repealing those. That's pretty straightforward. There's nothing especially confusing or complex about that. The budget ordinance, again, nothing very special about that, just the process involved for it. Public hearing, public comment periods, I did want to talk about this for a little bit. So this is not something that you had in the rules, which has kind of been a practice before. I have gone ahead and developed some suggested rules. If you don't like these rules, we can change them. But as it relates to public hearings, a public hearing on an item like the budget and things like that, and zoning amendments, those are different than public comment period. Those are two different things. And again, some people conflate those two things. As it relates to the rules for public hearings, I just put in there that the board can adopt rules for that, because we don't have those. And if you decide you want to have those, you can. Or you can just go by practice and just what you've traditionally done. But as it relates to public comment periods, because I've seen in a lot of other boards that has been an issue when in that beginning section, when people are wanting to voice their concern, I think there's been a lot of law that's come up about this and a lot of best practice. And so I tried to incorporate those in there. And I also tried to take what the existing public comment period practices are that we did. So that's what you'd see in Rule 27B. And the rules, I'll just briefly go over them. One is that any person desiring to address the board needs to secure the permission of the mayor. The person addressing the board needs to give their name and address for the records. That unless special time is granted, every person has to limit their remarks. Again, that's what our practice has been. Nobody can speak more than once per comment period. We have to, the speakers have to maintain order and respect, and disruption, disturbances, shouting, profanity, personal attacks, etc. is prohibited. And that and this is an important one that I hope, Mr. Mayor, you will enforce, because I think it's a very important rule of the public comment period, which is that the remarks need to be made to the board. The remarks should not be individual members, and that's sometimes hard, but that avoids a back and forth from happening. So, but importantly, this board cannot regulate under the law, cannot regulate the content of somebody's message that they are doing there. That's a constitutional protection of the First Amendment. So, we can't say, well, you're not allowed to talk about that because you don't like what you're saying. The substance of it has to be allowed. The appointments of bodies, those are very straightforward, and you just went through them. So there's not much to that. The amendment of the rules, the last rule, is that once you adopt these rules, if you want to amend it for any reason, you can, but it just has to be consistent with all your laws and everything, which, if I'm your town attorney, I'll ensure happens. And importantly, the motion to amend it has to be made at one meeting, and then you adopt the rules at the next meeting. You can't do it in the same meeting. That's to give a chance for people to comment on it and to weigh it. And then the final rule, Rule 31, is that if there is something that is not provided for in these rules, then you all should be consulting Robert's Rules of Order. That's where we go for guidance if a rule is not spelled out there, because we can't put every single rule on motions and everything like that in the rules. So that's a quick rundown of it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can we make a motion to put it off for next month's meeting to approve it, so we get time to read over it?
Sure. Yeah.
I second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to,
All right.
give us time.
Motion has been made.
Read over.
The
I
second.
second.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? All right. All right, so, let's move to the, okay, so we've got, Matt Eccles from Wooten Company. He has an update and discussion.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm here to talk about some infrastructure projects. I'm with the Wooten Company. My name is Matt Eccles. We are an engineering consultant for the town, working on several infrastructure projects. I've got some slides printed out for you. If you start on page 2 here, and just to show this is a list of all of the grant-funded projects that the town has received. The town's done an incredible job at pursuing and winning grant funds for infrastructure over the last several years. That number at the bottom, $14 million in grant funding. This town should be extremely proud of that number, and its citizens should be pleased to know that that $14 million is improving their infrastructure, but not impacting their water and sewer rates. So this is a great thing. I love showing this slide. If you turn to the next page, it's the same list, but I've just drawn arrows from the funding source to the project itself. You can see some grants cover multiple projects, and a couple of projects are funded by multiple grants. So it is a little convoluted, hard to keep track of. Reagan keeps nice and busy with reimbursement requests to 6 different funding agencies for 12 different projects. But again, it's a good problem to have, keeping track of all your grant monies. The next page, we're on page 4. I've struck through on the left side the projects that have been completed to give you an idea of where we stand with these. The ones that are highlighted, we are actively working on. And the one with the red box around it is what I'm here to speak about tonight. That is the water line replacements east project. That's one of 3 water line replacement projects that we're working on for the town. The aim for all 3 of those projects is to go into areas that have small diameter, like 2-inch diameter, really small water lines, and really old water lines, and replace those with newer, larger diameter, typically at least 6-inch diameter, to increase the capacity of the water system in those areas, improve your available fire flow, and improve the resiliency and just redundancy of the system. So those are 3 great projects that we're excited to get installed in the community. The water line replacements east project, though, is what we're here to talk about. If you'll turn to the next page, there's a map of where those lines that were to be replaced are located. It's kind of hard to see on paper, I apologize, but I'll just list the streets for everyone who doesn't have a map here. It's Ranlo Avenue, Burlington Avenue, Love Street, Crescent Avenue, Ryan Place, East Ryan Street, North Franklin Street, North 2nd Street, and East Long Street. If you'll turn to page 6, we received bids for the construction of this project on 11/13. The low bidder was Lewis Site Development, a local Ranlo contractor. Unfortunately, bids did come in over budget. As we currently stand, there's a $1.77 million deficit. And I apologize for that next line. Surplus ARPA funds may be available. That's what we thought until yesterday. There are surplus ARPA funds that Division of Water Infrastructure is allocating to projects that need it. But because this was an earmarked project, it is not eligible to receive those funds. So there are no additional grant funds available to make up this deficit. The town's options then are to cover that deficit with local funds. Obviously, when you plan on a project being a grant project, that's not a very attractive option. So outside of that, our options, we still want to spend the $2.08 billion that we have available. So we want to build something. So the point, or the goal is to spend as much of that as we can afford and accomplish as much of this project as we can afford. We will have to remove some from the scope of the project, and with the intent of pursuing additional funds in the future to complete those lines that are laid there. If you'll turn to page 7. So we do this through a bid modification process. So as I said, Lewis Site Development has already submitted a bid. It is more than the project can afford, so we have to negotiate with Lewis to remove items from the scope of work and lower his price to get down to within budget. And there'll be some numbers that'll make this make a little more sense in a couple of pages. But I've listed right here some of the proposed scope changes that we're considering for the bid modification. Eliminating water service reconnections. So what this means, when we install a new water line, we have to unhook the water service from the old water line and tap it again on the new water line. It's a significant effort. Public Works Director CJ Harper suggested that the town could perform some of these with their in-house services. I did misunderstand him quite significantly because I understood that he wanted to do all of them, which he informed me before this meeting when I saw this presentation, that is not what he was trying to offer. But either way, it's very helpful. The more that CJ's crews can do, that's the more that we can pull out of the project and get us back closer to budget. And that's doing so without eliminating portions of the project. That's just self-performing and a good way to save money. Beyond that, the only way to reduce the scope and get us back in budget is to start cutting parts of the project. We've identified what we think are the most advantageous, if you can say that about cutting something from a project. The best bang for your buck is generally what we're going for. So we're recommending removing Ranlo Avenue, Love Street, Crescent Avenue, and Burlington Avenue from this project and saving them for a future, hopefully grant-funded project. I've listed some of the reasons that we selected those. Some of them already have existing 6-inch water lines, and while so Ranlo Avenue and Love Street have 6-inch water lines, they're very old water lines and they do need to be replaced, but it's still 6 inches better than a 2-inch, which most of what we're replacing are 2-inch. Ranlo Avenue also included one of the directional board and jack installations, which is a very expensive way to put a pipe under a DOT road without messing up the pavement. So that was a big cost reduction without taking a lot of footage of pipe out of the project. And then Love Street also had a 6-inch water line for most of it. And Crescent Avenue was chosen because it's probably our most challenging street for this project. So we got more of a reduction per linear foot of pipe that we're removing. We were having to install temporary water lines because there was the right of way so tight on that street and there's so many utilities. We had to put the new water line right where the old one was. There was nowhere else for it to go. So we removed these streets, and then Burlington, you'll see on the map, Burlington was just kind of left up there by itself, so it made sense for it to be the next to cut. So the numbers first, so that you saw the list on the first page had 3 projects with the arrow from the ARPA grant pointing toward them. Those were the water meter upgrades, the Ranlo Avenue water line, and the water line replacements job that we're talking about. This table shows the original budgets for those projects, what was spent on the 2 projects that have been completed. So we do see in the balance in the last column, we did realize some surplus from both the water meter upgrades and the Ranlo Avenue water line projects. So those funds are eligible to contribute to this project. Ranlo also put up a $543,000 local match for this grant. So that fund, those funds that have not been spent are also available to apply for the project. So that total funding available for this project is $2.076 million. The low bid from Lewis was $3.5 million. And we also have to account for other project costs. So we have to include a contingency in case there are change orders. And we have to account for construction, administration, and observation costs. And feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast or if you have questions.
I have a question. This, final quote you just gave out, is that what's eliminating the streets? That's still how much it's gonna cost?
No, we'll get to that. This is where it is right now without eliminating anything. So this 1.7 million, that is our budget deficit as we did the project. Yeah, if you go to page 9, the next page, it starts with the available funding. We've already seen that.
I'm sorry, I got a quick question for you. So you did have, I'm trying to see where, I know you did modification, but where did those, I don't see the changes, but I want to see the breakdown, the money that was allocated, the stuff that you took out?
Yeah, and that's what's on page 9. We're
Nine,
at that.
okay.
Back and forth on what order to put all this stuff in. A lot of information. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. So at the top of the table on page 9, you see what we've already seen, the available funding, 2.07 million, and then the project costs, including the low bid, contingency, construction, administration, and observation, and then the total funding required and the deficit that we just said is $1.76 million. So under that, where you see bid mod 1, that is the dreamer line that I had when I thought CJ was going to replace all of the services. And so that number will be if CJ and his crew did everything. We don't think that's feasible, so that number may be lower. But for the purposes of discussion, that is a potential bid modification. It probably won't be that good. And so continuing down the list, if you take that out, the revised bid price is 2.8, and then the contingency, CACO, total funding required. Just doing that brings your deficit down to 1 million. So the town, when a project comes in over budget, the town has a few choices. The town can always allocate the additional money to build it as designed. In this case, since it is expected to be a grant project, that's likely not very palatable. You could also choose not to do the project, to just show it. But also, we do have some money that we want to spend, and we want to get to those goals. We do feel our best option is to just reduce it and get something good out of it. Like, so the bid mod 2 those are the numbers for removing the rest of those streets that I mentioned. Removing Crescent, Ranlo Avenue, Love, and Burlington. And that saves an additional 1.08 million. And it gets us to a budget surplus. And we'll have to, CJ and I will have to talk about the service reconnections. So there may be a little more that we have to cut in here, or maybe we can make it happen with that deficit there.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I may have got lost in this. At what point were they gonna do the lines for the red land? That's a different grant, the red land?
Yeah, so on
Okay.
on the first page, the 3 water line replacements are listed right there after meter upgrades. Water line replacements east is this one. That's everything east of Spencer, south side of town, but east of Spencer Mountain Road.
Okay.
The Monterey Park water line replacements is the northwest part of town, Monterey Park neighborhood. And then the South Ranlo water line replacements is the portion west of Spencer Mountain Road. That's Booker, Neely, Redland, Long, and Branch. And that's funded by a $2 million grant from Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you.
So those are not part of this, of what we're talking about here. I kind of forgot what page it's on.
We're on page 9, so.
Okay, so yeah, we went through that, we showed, this is what it would look like with this bid modification to get us back in budget. And if you turn the page to page 10, this shows a map of what we would be removing from the project. Ranlo Avenue, Love Street, Burlington, and Crescent. And those are, they're designed to sit on our shelf and, until we can find some funds and hopefully we'll get replaced in the future. Page 11, just the next steps. We will have to negotiate this scope change and price change with Lewis Site Development. I've reached out to him preliminarily, but he does have to agree to my numbers, which are just based on the quantities and unit prices in his bid. He may disagree with some of the interpretations that I made, but I think we'll get pretty close and we'll be able to build as much as we can for this project. After we get concurrence with the low bidder, we will submit the proposed bid modification to the Division of Water Infrastructure, the funding agency. They have to approve it, and then we will bring it back to the town of Ranlo to award the contract to Lewis, and then we'll kick off construction soon after that. And then, of course, pursue additional funding to complete what was eliminated from this project. That was my last slide, so I'm happy to take any more questions.
As far as the low bidder, do they have good credentials?
They do, yes. They're qualified, they're licensed appropriately, and they're a local contractor.
Okay, and proof of work,
What's that?
proof of work that they've done?
Yeah, they actually did the Ranlo Avenue extension, the roadway job that was just completed in that,
Okay,
under budget.
yeah. Just wanted to make sure you were getting someone qualified and not just a low bidder, yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my email and phone number is on the last page. If you think of anything, please feel free to call me.
Thank you.
All right, okay, we're gonna move on to, the presentation of the, annual financial audit by Eddie Carey.
Thank you, Mr.
Did I
Mayor.
say that right?
You said it right.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you as a board for the opportunity to serve as your auditor. As I always emphasize, I serve at your pleasure. So, excuse me, anytime y'all have any questions, concerns about the audit, about the finances in general, I want to be an asset to you, so feel free to give me a call, ask any questions. The only dumb question is always the one that's not asked, right? Because the better y'all understand these numbers, the better decisions y'all can make during the year as far as when items come up before you. The other thing that I want to point out, I always point out to all my boards, is pages 3 through 12 of your audit report. It's what's called management discussion and analysis. And what that is a little more in layman's terms about where the town's been, where it was this past year, and a little bit about where it's going in the future as far as finances is concerned. The reason I always point that out is if you have constituents that are concerned about the finances of the town, your audit report is a public document. Anyone can come and request a copy of it at Town Hall, and that's a good place to point them to. It just tells a lot, kind of synopsis of what's happened as far as the town's concerned, especially this past year. You have your little cheat sheet in front of you that I always prepare for you. That's just kind of comparing this year to the prior year. I'm just gonna hit some of the highlights. Shouldn't take more than 30, 45 minutes, something like that. You know, yeah. No, actually, I'm just gonna hit some of the highlights here, or whatever. If you have any questions, feel free. General fund, looking at your general fund, bottom line this past year, revenues over.
I'm sorry, hold on just a second. Give me a second, Brandon.
Oh, yes. Reagan, she's got that.
No,
Or
the highlighter,
the cheat sheet.
yes.
Oh, I think I got some more copies here.
Yeah, the book.
Can I put it? I gotta get that book.
Bottom line, revenues over expenditures, $1.5 million this past year as far as the general fund is concerned. You can see down through there changes in various types of revenues. The main two things that I want to point out to you, local option sales tax up $111,000. That's a good indication that the economy is progressing along. Those are monies that people are spending out there that y'all are getting the sales tax refunds off of. The other thing I point out, and I think the gentleman from Wooten, y'all are really good at getting grants and stuff. You see that your actual grants, normal grants this past year is up $234,000 compared to what it was the previous year. So total revenues and transfers up $729,000, total expenditures up $285,000. And you can, as you glance down through there, comparing the various departments from one year to the other, you see the main difference is if a department's up, it's normally because they were spending money on capital outlay. That's items that you're going to be using for more, maybe a vehicle, maybe street improvements, these kind of things that are going to be lasting more than 1 year. What falls into those capital outlay items. Bottom line, your unrestricted cash position at the end of the year, 5.3 million versus 3.8. So you see basically that 1.5 million basically all went into cash at the end of the year, which is a good thing. Your unassigned fund balance, 5.2 million. So your fund balance at the end of the year was 143% of what your annual expenditures were. So the average for North Carolina for a town your size is about 65%. So y'all are about double. Now that sounds, you look at that and say, oh, we got a lot of money in the bank. These people will tell you one big street project can wipe out half of that. So you are in good position. You are in a good, strong physical position. But I'm just telling you, don't look at it and say, oh, we need to go out and start doing all this stuff because we've got all this money sitting there. You are in a position to look at doing projects or whatever. But like I say, you'll find out that sometimes those projects have expensive price tags on them. Your ad valorem collection rate, 99.1%. That's about 3% above what the state average is as far as collection is concerned. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, let's go back to those grants. You got, you mentioned some numbers that doesn't look like I'm seeing these grants. It says 157,000 for 2025, 153,000. But you mentioned some different numbers.
The line that says other grants?
Yeah, line that says grants and it has power.
Oh, up above that, and I separate those up. Powell bill grants can only be spent on, street improvements.
Okay,
These other grants are various grants that y'all have gotten for various and sundry, primarily capital improvements for the town or whatever.
okay, so the other grants, 384?
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you want the detail, I have no idea.
I'm just looking. Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Any other? I'll do a caveat at the end, I'll let y'all know. Any questions about the general fund right now, as far as just face value?
Okay, so you have an unrestricted cash, and then you have the unassigned fund balance.
Yeah,
Now, explain what those two are again.
well, of course, you do have, there's potential, you may have a little more cash in the bank than that's cash that's available to do whatever. But y'all may have some cash sitting there that because of outside sources, like your power bill monies, maybe, I don't know about power bill, let's just say it was $500,000.
700 something.
700 some thousand dollars.
Actually, I can tell you.
Okay, that's not included in that unrestricted cash, because the state said you can't use that cash for anything except for working on streets with or whatever. So, I'm not, well, in fact, I can tell you real quick, hang on. Your actual total cash balance in the general fund was 6.5 million. 1.2 million of that is restricted by outside sources. So you have 5.3 million that basically y'all can do with whatever's necessary as far as the budget's concerned. Any other questions? Good questions. Like I said, the more you understand, the better y'all can. Okay, water sewer, just kind of hit that. Total revenue's up 187,000, total expenditure's up 176,000. So you see, but we still had a net positive bottom line of $38,000. Unrestricted cash, and this goes back a little bit to what the gentleman from Wood, as far as the water sewer funds, talking about, you had $1.1 million of unrestricted cash. So you see there's not a ton of money there that can be used for funding projects at this point in time or whatever. Any questions as far as water sewer is concerned? Now, your Christmas present. Second page, I've got a grandson that walks tomorrow at UNCG and be full time with me. How many of you heard of AI? Anybody heard of AI?
Can't get away.
Artificial intelligence. People get scared about artificial intelligence, and I said, we've been dealing with AI for 20 years. And they look at me like, huh? I said, yeah, it's called Google. Anyway, second page of this, so I've had him, I said, okay, take ChatGPT and run these financials through it. I want to hear what artificial intelligence says about the town of Ranlo. And after it analyzed your financial statements, the second page, and you're welcome to look at all those nice little comments and stuff that it did as far as the difference. But the second page I want to read to you. Ranlo's fiscal year 2025 audit demonstrates prudent financial management, integrity in reporting, and capacity for sustained growth and capital investment. That's not my opinion. That is a totally unbiased opinion of some little computer out there somewhere. But I thought that was good. One thing that I did mention to you, and I've already sent Charlie the thing, and especially the mayor and new board member, the state treasurer's office changed the way they did things a few years ago, basically because they don't have the manpower staff to go through these reports like they used to with a fine-tooth comb. So they came up with a matrix and said, okay, y'all enter all the numbers in, we'll run them through the matrix, and if there's any areas that we look at and call an area indicator of concern, we'll let you know, and we want a response from the town. And what they also did at that point in time was said, not only do we want a response from the town, we want it to be signed by at least the mayor and the majority of the council. Because what they were running into, that small towns would get in trouble, state treasurer's office would come in and say, oh, we got this going on, we got that going on, and the council would go, we ain't heard nothing about this. So they said, well, we'll take care of that then. There's one indicator of concern. I don't know who came up with this at the state treasurer's office, but anytime your depreciated water sewer assets get below 50%, it's an area of concern. Well, y'all are at like 40%, and it's gonna be at 40%, because you can't spend enough money to get back up above 50%. So we're just gonna have to answer them. Charlie has, I sent him the response from last year. Probably y'all's next meeting, everybody will need to sign it and everything. Send it back to me, Charlie, and I'll submit it through the portal or whatever. But anyway, that's actually the only area of concern that they have is, I hope somebody gets smart enough down there in a few years but what they want you to understand when they use this and below the 50% is just the fact that your water system is getting older. So what's gonna happen, you're either gonna have to be doing repairs, you're gonna have to be doing replacements. These kind of things are gonna be happening in the future, just to make you all aware of it. So those kind of projects and stuff are gonna be coming up. Any questions? When I leave, especially the mayor and the new board members, I leave with a little caveat, the others have heard this. If you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't go back to sleep, and you get your audit report out, start reading it, trying to put yourself to sleep, and you run across something you just don't quite understand, don't call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I am usually in by 8 o'clock. And I say that with a little facetiousness, but as I indicated, I want y'all to understand these numbers the best you can. Once you got your hands basically 5 months old from the year end, all it does hopefully is give you confidence that the numbers y'all see on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever, that you're making your decisions on are good numbers.
We really, I don't know, you got these indicators here. Quick ratio, operating net income excluding depreciation, including debt service, principal and interest. So you got these indicators, and then you got you go over, you have quick ratio and you have 7.16. I have no idea what that quick ratio means.
Yeah.
And I see we passed, but then we go to the area of concern at the bottom, where we're talking about capital assets condition ratio.
Yes.
So let's talk about that one.
Okay.
Just that one for now.
And I'll just tell you exactly what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'll just use round numbers so everybody understands. You paid $100 million for your stuff that y'all put in the ground and everything as far as the water and sewer system. Like I said, you didn't do that, but I'm just using $100 million so you understand. Okay, every year we say, okay, that water line you put in is gonna last 40 years. So we're gonna take 1/40th of it off every year as you go down. So now what's happened is you've had 100 million in, we take depreciation each year off of it. Now it's got down below $50 million as far as the cost is still concerned, because we depreciated it down that much. What they're saying is, okay, y'all put 100 million in there, now we're already down to half, you're only half of it left as far as that's concerned. We just think y'all ought to be aware of that as you're making decisions going forward. That's basically what it said. Y'all are actually at 40% of your original cost that you put in for those assets.
Yeah. 39.68%.
These grants, so replacing the lines will help that,
It will, but I don't know if y'all will get
that much.
up above 50% or whatever, so I'm just saying, that this is just something that's gonna come up every year. I had one the other day, I had to tell them, 2 years ago, they got this. Last year, they were exactly 50%. This year, they were 49.98%, so they had to answer it. So anyway.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Any other?
Oh, we're ready to move to the next item.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, adoption of the 2026 holiday schedule. Charlie, you want to go over that, the schedule?
Sure.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I can do it briefly too. So before you tonight, Mayor and Commissioners, 2 sheets of paper. The first is the holiday schedule for calendar year 2026, of which the front office will be closed. And then the second page is the regular meeting of the board dates. There was no conflicts with any holidays or anything like that, so every single one of the meeting dates is still the second Thursday. So we would just need to put this in front of the board to consider for calendar year 26, and then if you're wondering about the events calendar, we will do that next month. Happy to answer your question.
Sounds good to me.
I'll make a motion to accept the holiday schedule.
I'll second it.
All right. Okay, all in favor? I can't, I gotta get it.
You gotta
I'm
make it
sorry.
like creative.
Do it again, all in favor? I'm gonna get my head right on this one. We had a tough night tonight. It's an interesting night, I should say. All right. Okay, so, item number 13, presentation of the monthly financial report.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, you adopted the holiday schedule. I think you need to adopt the regular meeting schedule.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I make
I'm
a
sorry.
motion to adopt the regular meeting schedule also.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay.
Steve,
We'll get it down. Yeah. All right. By the town, Charlie, the town manager, you're gonna give us the, monthly financial report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So, for the new members on the board, I do this every single month. This agenda item doesn't require any action. One thing that I'm big on, and I've kind of told you independently when we've had meetings, is financial transparency, accountability. I think it's important that not only you as the decision makers, but everybody at home listening or anybody that's here listening knows that we can account for every single penny that this government is in charge of. So what I try to do once a month, it's a condensed version because obviously we have a couple million pennies, so it would be a pretty extensive report if I gave everything. So what our finance director does every month is gives you 2 sheets of paper. The first one is our overall finance report. So this is all the statuses of all of our accounts, including those capital management trust accounts, and including the interest that comes on those accounts. And the second is the year-to-date general operating budget. Kind of just shows you kind of how we are through some of those numbers. And I've told you kind of independently, sometimes some of those numbers can be a little misleading. For example, if we have a large capital expenditure in Parks and Recreation, for example, we may pay that at the beginning of the fiscal year, which may inflate the percentage, but just know by the end of the year, it will all be added up and correct. And also know that we meet, Ray and I, just about every single day to discuss this. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but really this is just meant to be every month just for informational purposes, just so that you, as the people who have been elected to make decisions, know exactly where all the money is. Happy to answer any questions.
Since this is my first time, can you kind of, just go through the first
Happy to do it.
overall report? Talk about the balances that's in there.
Happy to do it. So the general fund account there for Truist Bank, that is our account balance. That is essentially what we run everything from our general operating budget out of. One thing, and I know you know this, but I'll just say it for just saying its sake. When we have our budget, there's a side of cash flow that's different than what our budget looks like, right? So like on July 1st, when we adopt a $5 million budget, we don't just get a $5 million check from the county. It's it's going to be exactly what it was on June 30th, right? So we have an ebb and flow through the year of when ad valorem tax revenue comes in. So that is essentially our checking account where we operate our general operating budget. The reserves account, we put in the capital management trust account, you can see there, that's where the interest gets. And that's essentially, we call it fund balance, but it's a savings account more or less. That's getting high interest. The Powell bill account, as Mr. Carrick mentioned, we get Powell bill funds every single year. That's state appropriations that are just designed for street repair, maintenance, and we have a very healthy Powell bill account fund balance at $704,000. We have spent over the past 2 years, since we've done such a good job of saving, we have done some spending in the last year and a half, 2 years, on trying to upgrade some of our equipment, trying to get some of our roads paved. We're still in the process of accepting bids for a street repaving plan that I'll put in front of you next month or the month after, but that's a nice healthy balance. I will say too, one thing from the state, not to get too in the weeds on it, but the state has started to say And I can get the legal mumbo jumbo, but if you essentially collect, and don't spend, the state now is coming back and saying, we're sending you power bill funds, and you're not using them, we're gonna start taking them away from you. The good news is, they already sent the report out, we don't fall within that category, because we have been using it, we've been taking care of the taxpayer and getting some good equipment that takes care of our streets, so we're in good shape, but just know, if you have a strategic plan in your mind that you wanna bring to the rest of the board to say, well, let's not spend a dime for 15 more years, the state will come and say, you're not getting that money anymore. And then the state capital infrastructure fund account, that is our grant project money for the SCIF fund, which you will see in the Wooten project sheet, and that is the total account that's left in there on top of the interest that it's also making. That is the first sheet.
I think we understand what you got going on here. On the second page, so you've got the budget here for the administration department, admin department, 64.04% has been spent of the $210,000 there.
Not necessarily, sir. So what it is the 64% is how much of the budgeted amount has been spent so far this fiscal year. That 210 is what's still in that account. That's correct, right? Yeah,
Okay, that's what's still in there.
that's correct. And it's the same for all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's all.
All right, okay. Mr. Town Manager, Charlie Henson, we're ready to look at item number 14, Town Manager's Report.
All right, I'll take it away, Mr. Mayor. Just have one thing to say. So Commissioner Hill and I have been meeting recently, and this, Commissioner Hill, excuse me, had a wonderful idea that we're gonna try to roll out, want to get the board's feel on. So as you know, when I started, we started the Chats with Charlie public engagement series, where I go out into the public once a month, and anybody and everybody are welcome to come chat. We can talk about the Panthers and how they're gonna win the NFC South. We can talk about, the town, you name it. Come in and, say praise, come in and be frustrated. I welcome it all, because that's how things happen, right? Commissioner Hill had said, and had a fantastic idea of, let's try to rebrand Chats with Charlie, because what could possibly, I'm gonna steal all your thunder, this is your wonderful idea. What could possibly be perceived right now is that there's staff and Charlie, and there's the board, the mayor and the board. But what Commissioner Hill said was, what if we make it the same? That way people know they can go and not feel like, well, do I talk to the board or do I talk to Charlie about that? So what Commissioner Hill thought of was, let's rebrand it. We haven't thought of a fun name yet, but essentially like a Chats with Council and Charlie or something like that. We'll come up with something nice. Where each time there's a Chats with Charlie, one of the commissioners joins as well. And I think it would be a great opportunity for residents to know that not only that I'm hearing it, but their elected officials are hearing it as well. So I just kind of wanted to share that. Do you have anything you want to add to that, or?
You did it perfect.
No, that was your idea. I did none of that. That was all your idea. Yeah, so that's it. So we normally roll that out every calendar year. So in January, we'll come out with that as well. And then just so you know, the chiefs who normally give their monthly report tonight will not be having a monthly report. They will do an annual report next month. And Mr. Mayor, that is all I have for item 14.
All right, we're gonna move on to item number 15, comment from the mayor. My comments are, this was an interesting meeting. But I want everyone to know that my total interest is to do right by people. God, when I say God has called me to do this, I mean it. We know that these positions are not being paid for. Everybody knows that. The main reason I'm here is because God called me to bring people together. We're in a climate where this separation, this used to be, from what I heard, I've only been here 20 years, but from what I heard, this was, the community was so much together. You know, the the playground, the festivals that you would have more people out there. I'm here to help promote more businesses coming here. I'm here to help bring more income in. That's going to help the employees and also give more revenue, and we can have more money for other projects. I've already been discussing some of these things with Charlie. As a matter of fact, I've already met with Tim Moore Representative James Estes. So we met with him today. So I have nothing in it, but I just want to do right by the people here, and I want to do right by God. I had a chance to eat, had a lunch with all the commissioners, took them out, and we had, I think we have some pretty good camaraderie. I don't think they dislike me. I had a chance to meet all the police department, most of them, I hope, Chief, right?
Not all of them.
Not all of them, maybe I haven't met all of them, but I find you guys great. I find you guys are great. So, and I know we had some bad comments, I know that people are going to say some things about us, but the thing about it is we just have to come together, all right? I don't care about what people said. I don't care what you say about me. I only got one thing in mind, and that's to help the people of Ranlo and do right by God. That's it. All right, those are my comments. We'll move on to item number 16, comments from the board.
I'd like to welcome Mr. Hill, Mayor Creech. Congratulations on the win. Look forward to working with you. Town moving forward in a positive direction.
I'm sick of it.
I'm 30.
Third. And Ms. Rodman, congratulations on your re-election.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You're my
Didn't know
favorite.
that said that.
I have got to say,
Are you done?
I'm done.
I'm sorry, good job.
I just think my time, Mrs. Connor.
Okay, I would like to say that this past weekend, I had a chance to hang out with Toys for Tots. Amazing. My first motorcycle ride, amazing. Chief Munster made me have a smooth, safe ride. And I look forward to next year. And we need to get some motorcycles around here for the police officers.
You rode on the motorcycle?
I did.
That's where that gray hair comes from.
That's where it came from. That's where it came from. No, it just shows that I'm a little bit wiser because I did ride on that motorcycle.
I
Yeah,
like motorcycles.
yeah, that was great. That was a great turnout, and looking forward to working with them for 4 more years. I love this little town. The people here are really amazing. They really are, and I think we all really want to be close. I don't think we have the hang-ups. I really don't believe so. Right now, we live in one of the most diverse neighborhoods in Ranlo. We don't have any problems. I mean, I've got it all, from Vietnamese to Japanese to Dubai and
Native American.
of course, Native Americans, which goes along with my husband. Yes. So I'm looking forward to this next 4 years, and I think it's going to be great. And I thank former Mayor Steve Anderson. Back up, excuse me. I thank you, Steve Alexander, and your wife Sherry, for coming out tonight. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I appreciate everyone that has welcomed me. This was a journey, the first time I ever doing anything like this, but as I was campaigning, it was really a blessing to meet a lot of the residents, and they were very excited for like just being out, meeting them, talking, and listening to stories. So that was a blessing for me. I know they're listening, so I want to thank my honey, my son, my parents, my friends, my family, everyone that came to support me today. Everyone that's still watching online, I appreciate the support. I definitely would not be here, the woman that I am, without the village that God blessed me with, so. And I did want to get your thoughts on, a commissioner, coming to the chats with Charlie. Is that something that you would be interested in? If one person comes, you only will probably have to do it twice a year.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. That'd be something that would be, yeah, so 6, so twice. Okay, that's awesome.
Can I add one more thing? One thing that I hope that we do talk about are those comments from the citizens that came to the podium.
Yes.
And I hope that we do address their issues and the ones that came and brought their issues to us. So maybe we can do that next meeting. I don't know how that works.
No, absolutely. So we're gonna, I'm gonna talk
Hopefully
to,
before then, Rhonda.
we're gonna talk to Charlie and, Reagan about this. We need to make a backlog of every item, every issue
Right.
that's put in. But I've already kind of talked to Charlie about how we wanna run these things, and, we'll get in more detail. All right? If anybody else has anything, Commissioner Lockley?
I'm good.
Commissioner Laws? All right. Commissioner Doug Moore? Good?
Yeah.
Okay, so, someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make such a motion.
All right. Second, all right. All in favor? Got it. Got it.